Hello everyone and welcome back to the One Stop Co-op Shop. This is Colin and today we are going to start the Waking Nightmare scenario. This is scenario 1B in the Dream Eaters campaign that we're doing. If you'd like to see how we set up this scenario as well as our two investigators, check out the video before this in the playlist. Otherwise, let's get going. So I think for this round, we're going to go ahead and start off with Joe as our first player. So remember, we can skip the Mythos phase in the first round, so we're going to jump right into the investigation phase, and we'll go ahead and start with Joe. At the beginning of the investigation phase, we get to reveal our top card on our hunch deck, and we have no stone unturned. Remember, we can play this card at a -2 cost, and it states, choose an investigator at your location. That investigator searches the top 6 cards of their deck, draws it, and draws a card, and shuffles his or her deck afterwards. Wow, for 0 cost, this is kind of tempting. I think I'm going to do this. Our first action, we'll go ahead and use this. It costs us 0. We're going to do ourselves, not Patrice, because Patrice is going to run through her deck pretty quickly. So I'll place this in our discard pile. We then get to look at the top 6 cards. 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm kind of looking for a weapon, I think. No weapons at all. We do have, oh, here we go. Sorry, guys. We do have a flashlight, which is kind of nice. Logical reasoning. Unexpected, courage, some steadfast, another Milan. We already have one Milan. I think I'm just going to grab the unexpected courage. So I'll put that into my hand, and I'll go ahead and shuffle our deck. For action 2, I think it makes sense, looking at our hand, we're going to play Dr. Milan Christopher. Now, we are going to play with the taboo in effect. So when we use this ability that he has here, after you successfully investigate, gain 1 resource, you have to exhaust him. So you can only do that once per round. Otherwise, this card is absolutely insane. We are going to have to spend 4 out of the 5 of our resources to play him. So we'll put him out. But now our investigation level is 5, because normally it's a 4. It's a 5 now because he's out on the board. Finally, I think I'm going to try and claim one of these clues. So I have my investigation value of 5 compared to the 3 shroud value here. So let's draw one, and we get a -4. Okay, Joe, that was an auto fail. That's a bummer. Fortunately, nothing bad happens, but that's all she wrote for us. For Patrice, the first thing we're going to do is play our St. Hubert's key here. It's going to give us +1 willpower, +1 to our intellect, but then -2 to our sanity. The reason we want to do that is then, and this is going to cost us 4 as well, so we're only going to have 1 resource. I'm going to put the -2 here so I don't forget. We have -4 sanity. That means we only have 3 left. But that means this desperate search that's worth 4 of these intellect icons is good because we have to have 3 or fewer remaining sanity. Heck yeah. So let's try this again. We have 2 actions left. Let's go ahead and try and find one of these clues. Currently, our intellect is at 3. We are going to then play the Defiance card here for its skill ability. And it says, before revealing a chaos token for this test, choose one of the following symbols. I'm going to go ahead and choose the, which one is it? The skull, because that one could potentially make us lose or fail this one. And we're going to ignore the effects of that one. So it's just going to be nothing. So that's hoping what I actually get. And we are right now beating this room by 1. So let's see. We'll draw one of our chaos tokens. We got a -2. So that's a fail. Boy, we are having a hard time. So I think with our third and final action, doesn't make sense not to do it. We'll do our desperate search here. So we're adding 4 to our 3, so it's 7 to 3. This better work. If this doesn't work, come on. -3, wow, that'll still work. 7 minus 3 is higher still than the 3 because we'll have 4 left. So we've claimed our first clue. It was really hard for us to find any clues in this waiting room. Like I said, these 2 are going to be a little bit different from the other 2 that we saw. We've completed our investigation phase. We'll now move to the enemy phase. There are no enemies on the board, so we'll move to the upkeep phase. We'll reset our actions, ready all of our exhausted cards. Each of us will gain 1 additional resource. That means we each have 2. Now, normally we get to draw 1 card as well, and I'm going to do that for Joe. So Joe's going to draw the top card of his deck, and he gets his enchanted blade. That's actually super nice. Now, what happens for Patrice, she's going to go ahead and discard both of these cards, and then she's going to draw up another 5. So let's see what she draws. She has Say Your Prayers, a Sixth Sense, Manual Dexterity. Oh, we have a Watcher. So she does have one of her weaknesses. This is a Peril and Hidden. Revelation. Secretly add this enemy to your hand. You may fight or evade this enemy while it's in your hand, as if it were at your location. If you succeed, discard it from your hand. If you fail, spawn it engaged with you. Forced. When your deck runs out of cards, if this enemy is in your hand, it attacks you from your hand. Isn't that crazy cool? So this will stay in our hand, and we will not be able to discard this because this is a weakness card. So now our hand is going to be reduced in size because of that. That's brutal. But we do have 2 manual dexterity, so maybe I can just run away from it. And the Sixth Sense will be nice because that can help us with cluing as well. We can use our willpower, which is actually 5, much better than our intellect, which is only 3. Then we'll move to that Mythos phase. We'll place 1 Doom on our agenda. We only need 1 more, and we're already going to move. Finally, we'll draw our encounter cards. We're going to start with Patrice, since she is the lead investigator, and she has Whispers of Hypnos, Peril. Choose a skill. For the remainder of the round, each investigator gets -2 to the chosen skill. You cannot choose a skill that has already been chosen by a copy of this effect this round. Oh, so I have to decide, and everyone gets -2. I'm definitely going to do our agility, because our agility for all of us stinks anyways. So our agility is 0. So I'll just go ahead and put this out to help me remember that. Joe's card will be, we have Revelation. Put Glimpse of the Underworld into play in your threat area. When you would take damage and a horror, take 1 additional damage. Discard Glimpse of Underworld, then take 1 damage and 1 horror. So we can just take 1 of each just to get rid of this. That's not terrible. I'll put this in our threat area. We'll start off with Joe again this round, and I think we're just going to take care of this right away. We're going to discard this and then take 1 damage and 1 horror. The damage will soak. The horror, though, I'm going to place on Milan. Milan has 2 sanity, so he can take that. And we only have 6, so that kind of helps us out. But now we can discard this card. I should also remember to flip over our top card of our hunch deck, and we have the same thing, no stone left unturned. I like it, but at this point, I'm liking what I have in my hand. I'm going to spend actions doing other things. For our first action, we're going to try and investigate this waiting room again. We're at a 5 for intellect compared to the 3. I'm going to go ahead and use my unexpected courage, so that makes us a 7 to a 3. Come on, that better work. Let's see what we draw. We draw 0 this time. Great. Okay, that's our second clue. Remember, we need 8 clues to get to the next location. Then what I'm going to do for a fast action. Remember, fast actions mean they don't cost you an actual action to play the card. So I'm going to play this, and it says play only during your turn. Choose an investigator at your location and move that investigator to a connecting location. And I think I'm going to move myself. I'm just trying to decide where I want to go. I think I'll go to the emergency room. I'll move myself right over to here, and what do we find? You peek into the emergency ward and find several other rooms besides the one your companions are being kept. The emergency room only has a shroud value of 2, but we have, while you are in the emergency room, each of your skill tests gets +1 difficulty for each card committed to it. Interesting. So if I commit a card to it, it's actually going to make it a little bit harder. Cool. Well, I won't commit anything. So we still have 2 actions. This is a 2 compared to our 5. We can do that. Oh, and I have to remember, I collected a clue. We have Milan here. When you collect a clue, when you successfully investigate, gain 1 resource. Now I'm going to have to exhaust him for that. So I've gained a 3rd resource. And if you weren't playing with the taboo, if I gained both of these, I'd gain 2 more resources. Pretty insane. So let's not commit anything for this test. Let's go ahead and just reveal a token from the bag. We're at 5 to 2, +1, 6 to 2. Take that. We'll get this one. And then our 3rd action, let's try it again. 5 to 2, and we get the star. What's our star? Oh, this is awesome. We get +1, so we definitely succeeded. And then you may move an insight event from your discard pile to the bottom of the hunch deck. And I think I'm going to do that. And I'm going to grab the shortcut, actually. I have that in my deck, but I can put that, because it's an insight card, into the bottom of my hunch deck, just because I already have another no stone unturned in there. I don't think I need another one. That ended Joe's turn. We'll move to Patrice's turn, and I think she's going to move herself over to the experimental therapies ward. The advantage is that these 2 are connected, so if something happens, Joe can maybe come over and help her if need be. So she'll move here. Let's see what we got. A sign over this hallway reads, Experimental Therapies. You're not sure what sorts of remedies the staff at St. Mary's experiments with, but you're not sure you want to know. I know I don't. Oh boy, this shroud value is 4 here. When you investigate experimental therapies ward, take 1 horror. Experimental therapies ward gets -2 shroud for this investigation. Oh, that might actually be a good idea. This has 4 clues on it too. As much as I want to just start cluing up a storm here, I think I need to play the long game here. I'm going to spend my second action to gain a 3rd resource, and then I'm going to use those 3 resources to put down the 6th sense. It's just going to make us a better investigator, because we'll have 5 willpower thanks to St. Hubert's Key, and so that means we'll just be a little better at investigating. So I'm going to spend the 3 resources I have here to play that, but that means we've used all 3 of our actions. This is when I think things are going to get a little bit fun. We'll move to the enemy phase. There's nothing going on there. I should say with our hunch deck, because we did not use this, this will simply get shuffled, and then the next investigator phase will reveal a new hunch card. I love the hunch deck. It's so fun. It means you always have at least 1 card in your hand that you can do something with, potentially. We'll then go ahead and gain resources. Joe will have his 4th one. Patrice will only have 1, unfortunately. She'll gain that 1. Then we will draw cards. For Joe, that's just going to be 1 old card, and he gets deduction, which is super great. That'll be really good. And then for Patrice, unfortunately, that means she's going to have to discard 2 manual dexterities and say her prayers, but she's going to keep this Watcher from another dimension in her hand. And then she's going to draw now, instead of 5 cards, only 4. So her 4 cards are some Guts, another Desperate Search. Oh, her Violin, we've got to play that. And her Reckless Assault. And don't forget we have our Watcher. We have to take care of that. Otherwise, we're going to take 3 physical damage, which, well, I guess she has 7 health. It's not terrible. At the end of the round, we also get to discard this Whisper from Hypnos. So now our agility is back to 2 for each of our characters. Moving to the Mythos phase, though, we're going to need to place another Doom here. I'm not even going to place it because we're at the maximum threshold. So we're going to have to progress the agenda. And that's usually not a good thing, you guys. As you continue to explore the hospital, why haven't you just left? The oddities you've observed become more and more frequent. Thick, dark cobwebs now cover the corners of every room. Spiders crawl along the walls and the ceilings. Oh, I can feel it. Emerging from seemingly nowhere and vanishing just as quickly. It's not just your imagination. An infestation of spiders has taken root within the hospital, and not just any spiders. They are larger than average, with long, jagged, barbed legs and great hairy abdomens. Perhaps even more worrying is the complete lack of hospital staff roaming the halls. Aside from the several wary and frightened orderlies, you see no other staff members, not even nurses or doctors. Shuffle the set-aside Spiders encounter set and each set-aside copy of Outbreak into the encounter deck along with the encounter discard pile. Oh, draw the set-aside Infestation Begins story card and resolve its text. Place 1 damage token on the location with the most clues. The one that Patrice is just at. 2 locations if you're playing with 3 or 4. We're not doing that. For the remainder of the scenario, damage tokens on locations represent the spreading infestation. Each location with a damage token on it is considered infested. Create a separate bag consisting of the following tokens. Okay, so 1 skull, 4 of those rock guys, and 2 cultists. I do have another bag Monica made me. Cool. This is the infestation bag, and these are the infestation tokens. They are not chaos tokens, so you can't do anything to affect it with chaos tokens. They're not considered chaos tokens. Some abilities will instruct the players to make an infestation test. An infestation test may cause the infestation to spread to other locations or endanger investigators at infested locations. To resolve an infestation test, an investigator must reveal a random infestation token from the infestation bag. Wow, that's a lot of words of infestation. And resolve the effect for that token as indicated on the other side of this card. Flip this card over and place it next to the scenario reference card. Use these results when revealing infestation tokens from the infestation bag. Set this token aside, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a spider enemy, and spawn it in the location nearest any investigator. So that's the skull. These rock ones, I think, are not terrible because you just set them aside. And then the cultist one, set this token aside, choose a location connected to an infestation location. That location becomes infested. Then, if there are 2 or more of these cultist tokens set aside, return all set-aside infestation tokens to the bag. Oof. So yeah, it's going to guarantee things are going to infest, so you can't draw the same token over and over again. A monstrous presence has infested St. Mary's. It lies inside the walls and watches you from all sides. In mere minutes, it has spun thick, sticky webbing throughout each of the rooms you visit. The lights are either flickering or out across the hospital, and some of the more advanced medical machinery is broken and covered in cobwebs. At the end of the mythos phase, make an infestation test. Oh, and I'm assuming that's going to happen here because we're still at the beginning of the mythos phase by doing the doom. The end of the mythos phase, and you can see that here, is so we have to advance the agenda if doom threshold has been satisfied, which it is. And then each investigator draws one card from the top of the encounter deck. Then that's the end of the mythos phase. So then we're going to have to do the infestation test. Gross. Let's draw our 2 terrible encounter cards. Let's start off with Patrice. She will get Whispers of the Hypnos. We just had this. Let's go ahead and do Agility again. Agility is -2. I have no idea. Till the end of the round. Is that a good thing? I don't know. This will be for Joe. He has Sickening Webs. Attach to your location. Each spider enemy at attached location gains Retaliate and Alert. Investigators cannot move out of the attached location. You can test your might, or I guess combat, or your agility, which I just killed for both of us. If you succeed, discard Sickening Webs. That'll end the mythos phase. I've got my bag here with all of my infestation tokens. I'll go ahead and shuffle them up. Let's draw this one. It's a cultist. Set this token aside. Choose a location connected to the infested location. That location is now infested. It's our first one of these, so we won't do the second part where we reshuffle them back in. Great one to start with. We now have 2 locations infested. Thematically, it seems to me it makes the most sense that where the sickly webs are, it is now infested the emergency room. Especially because once I get out of there, I don't really need to go back there, I don't think. Now, though, we finally get to move to the investigation phase. First thing I'm going to do, Hunch Deck. I'll reveal our top card. Are you serious? I only have 2 of these in here, and I've actually used one. Just happens to be No Stone Unturned is still on top of the deck. So who do I want to have go first? Well, I still don't feel great about this, but I think it's the best idea. I still got to think long-term with Patrice. This violin will allow us to take one of our cards that we can't play, and we can turn it into either having another one of our investigators, so Joe being able to draw a card, or we could gain a resource. So I think first action, gain 1 resource. Second action, we're going to simply play it. Costs 2 to do that. Man, just seems like such a waste because I've got such a great hand here and I'm only going to be able to use 1 more of them. And then I think for my third action, I am going to use my guts here. I'm going to add 2 to our willpower, so 4 plus 1 because of the key, so that's 5, plus 2 here, that's 7. So we've got a 7 total. Oh, I have to remember we have her to negate something that we draw from there. I could have negated the one we did last time. Oh well, I didn't. We have a total of 7 willpower to the 4 that's there. I might, though, we can take 1 horror and then reduce the shroud value by 2. She's got 3 horror to use. Let's do it. We'll take 1 horror on her. We'll reduce it down from 4 to a 2. So now we're only trying to get past a 2. We have 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I succeed with this, we do get to draw a card. So let's go ahead and grab from our bag here. And we get a star, which is ridiculous. After this test ends, you may shuffle all but 1 of your cards from your discard pile into your deck. That is, wow, okay. So first thing is, we definitely succeeded, so that will get us 1 more clue. That means we get to draw 1 card, so we will draw Peter Sylvester. And then at the end of this test, we're going to go ahead and shuffle everything but, what does it say? All but 1 card from your discard pile into your deck. I want this impromptu barrier in my discard pile, so I'm definitely going to leave that. I'll shuffle everything else into my deck. That was kind of cool. We're then going to go ahead and use our ability here. We're going to discard this Reckless Assault. Can't really use it anyways this round. We're going to have to discard it. But that means we can generate 1 resource. So we have 1. And that means we can essentially gain 2 resources around while we have this out. That's why the violin is just so important. It does take a hand slot. You only have 2 hand slots. I think it's worth it. For Joe over here, we have to take an action to try and get rid of this Sickening Webs. So let's go ahead and spend an action. Our total combat strength is 4, so this is a stretch. 4 minus 1 is 3. 3, great. We just discarded the Sickening Webs. See ya. Okay, then action 2. we're going to go ahead with our hand. I think we need to have a weapon out because I just shuffled in a bunch of spiders. So this is an enchanted blade. We have 4 resources. I'm going to use 3 out of the 4 to play this. So I've got 1 left. It has an ability that we can fight, and we get +1 for this attack. As an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to empower it. We'll get an additional +1 and deal +1 damage for the attack. Kind of cool. This is a nice replacement for the machete. In this means for our third and final action, we can move over here with Patrice, and we can hopefully get these clues together. So that will complete this round. Oh man, our investigator phases are so fast. We'll move to that enemy phase. There aren't any enemies on the board. So we'll go to the upkeep phase. Everybody has readied everything. I will have Joe draw 1 card. He gets Eureka, which that's actually not a bad card at all. And he'll gain 1 resource to 2. Patrice will also go to 2 resources, but she's going to have to discard both Sylvester and the Desperate Search, and then draw 4 more cards from her deck. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's see what we get. We get Run for Your Life. Hey, okay. We don't want to change the agility this time because maybe we can run away from that card in our hand. We get a Winging It, an Improvised Weapon, and the Mist of Raleigh. After that, though, our first doom is placed on this already. We have 5 more till we move to the next one. We'll draw our encounter cards and then have an infestation test. Oh, we have to remember that the Whispering of the Hypnos is discarded. Patrice is first. Let's see what she gets. Oh, she gets a Suspicious Orderly. Suspicious Orderlies cannot attack, be attacked, or be dealt damage. While the Suspicious Orderly is engaged with you, you cannot investigate. Ugh. The good thing is, though, we've got the doctor with us, and I think she can help us with him. But right now, he is definitely engaged with Patrice. Okay, our next card, this is for Joe. Joe gets a locked door. Attached to the location with the most clues, that's when we're at. The attached location cannot be investigated. Really? You can test your might 4 to break it down, or agility 4 to pick the lock. If you succeed, discard the locked door. Boy, this deck is just trying to make it hard for us to get those clues. Which, if you think about it, totally makes a lot of sense, because that is why it's there. Let's go ahead and draw for our infestation test, and we get just one of the rock symbols. We can just set it aside. We've got this orderly here being quite annoying, not letting us investigate, but we do have Dr. Siobhan. She has an ability that we can exhaust her, and then we can automatically evade and engage Suspicious Orderly. So he will be exhausted, and he'll move to that location exhausted, and we no longer have to worry about not being able to investigate. But that will exhaust her for this round. We're then going to see if we can get through this locked door. So this is our first action. First thing we're going to do is play Run for Our Life. So we have 4 plus the 2, a total of 6. We need a 4 for this. This is a bit of a stretch. You know what? I might add it. I'm going to add this one too. So it is a 7 to a 4. 7 to a 4. Come on, come on. Let's see what we get from here. We get this symbol, which actually I don't know what that means. Let me check. That means -X is the number of infested locations. Oh, there's 2 of them. So we did 7, -2 is 5. That's still greater than the 4. We just broke the lockdown. Nice, Patrice. I don't know what you used, but whatever you used, maybe your violin, you slammed it and unlocked that door. We're then going to try and investigate this location. We are going to lose another sanity for this to reduce it down to a 2, but that's going to be on the doctor, unfortunately, so she's 1 away from being totally insanified out. We're going to use our 6th sense, so we're going to investigate with our willpower. Our willpower is 5. 5 to a 2. Let's see what we get. And we get a skull. Skull is -1. -3 if you're engaged with the staff enemy. We're not engaged with the staff enemy. So it's only a -1. That means we succeeded. And then let's go ahead and do that for our third and final action. So let's see what we get. Come on, we only have 1 clue left over there. We get a -1. Great. That will work. Well, you know what? I can give that one to me because I did not spend the sanity. I was thinking of doing it. But with that being a 4, we were at a 5. 5 minus 1 is 4. We actually would have gotten it. So I got kind of lucky there. We'll take that. We'll now move to Joe's turn, and I'm realizing that we didn't reveal a new hunch card. So let's go ahead and give this thing a shuffle like so, and let's reveal it. And we have Working a Hunch. Fast. Play only during your turn. Discover 1 clue at your location. That normally costs 2 resources. We can play that for free, and it's a fast, so it doesn't even take an action. And we can just discover the final clue. That's not a question. We're going to play that. We're going to discover the final clue in that location. What's great about that is now we have 8 total clues, so we can advance the act deck. We have our 8 clues. Joe has only done 1 action. That first investigation, he still has 2 left. So let's reveal this. From hospital records and snippets of hushed conversation, you are able to glean that there was recently another patient in the hospital whose conditions closely mirrored that of your friends. After being comatose for weeks, the patient abruptly and inexplicably awakened just this morning. Baffled, the doctors have quarantined the patient somewhere in the basement of the hospital, below the eastern ward. Put the set-aside stairwell and basement door location into play. Check the agenda. If it's agenda 2 or 3, make an infestation test. If it's agenda 1, immediately advance to agenda 2. We've just placed the stairwell and the 3 basement door locations. So the stairwell is really luckily connected to the experimental therapies ward. You can see blue triangle, and then you've got the heart here to the heart. So we can move to the stairwell, and the stairwell is connected to all of the basement doors, and I'm assuming they'll probably have these different icons when we flip them over. We're probably trying to search one of those for a person. I wonder who it's going to be. I'm thinking it's that same guy that we met in the dream world. Maybe? I don't know. But regardless, this is awesome. We now have to do the infestation test, though. Let's see what we get. I'll draw from this bag over here, and we get another one of the do nothing. Great, that's 2 nothings and a cultist. Those do nothings won't last forever. You need to learn where this mysterious patient is being kept. If you can find them and speak with them, perhaps they can provide some answers about what is happening to your friends. If an investigator controls Randolph Carter, I swear that's the name, advance. Yep, definitely confirmed that's the name of the individual that Tony now has in his deck. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? I don't know. Let's go ahead and do our next action and move into the stairwell. Through an unmarked door in the hall behind the experimental therapies ward, a dark staircase leads deeper into the hospital. Why do hospitals have basements? After you enter the stairwell from a non-basement location, which is what I just did, move to a basement location, then test agility 4. If you fail, take 2 damage. After stairwells becomes infested, make an infestation test. Ooh. Okay, so this is staying after you enter the stairwell from a non-basement location, which is just what we did. Then we have to move to a basement location. So I think we just do that automatically. I don't have to spend an additional action, so I'll still have 1 left. I can pick any one of the 3. Let's go ahead and pick this middle one. One of the several unmarked wooden doors in this cold, musty basement of St. Mary's Hospital. Oh yum, this one is the operating room. Gross. This room seems to have been abandoned mid-surgery. On the operating table lies a deceased patient, completely covered in a thin sheet, save for the spindly, spider-like legs emerging from the patient's body. Oh, that sounds wonderful. It's exactly where I want to be. We can take 2 actions here to choose an investigator at your location and test their intellect. 4. If you succeed, heal 3 damage from that investigator. If you fail, deal 1 damage to that investigator. Good way to heal, but we need to do an agility test now of 4. If we fail, which is very likely because our agility is 2, we're going to take 2 damage. We do have one thing going for us. That location has a clue, so that means we can use Inquiring Mind. Commit to a skill test only if there's a clue at your location. So our agility is now 5. Then we're going to add Eureka for 6. So 6 to a 4. And if we do succeed, we get to look at the top 3 cards and draw one and put it in our hand. So 6 to a 4. 6 to a 4. Come on, we need some luck here. We need some luck, otherwise we're taking damage. A -1, that'll work. 6 to a 5. That means we get to look at the top 3 cards. We take no damage. We can put one of these in our hand. Oh, a magnifying glass. Oh, our Colts. Oh, a beat cop. Oh my gosh, all 3 of these are glorious. I have a weapon already, and that took 1 hand. I have another hand. I can't put the beat cop out anyways right now. So I think I'm going to take the magnifying glass, because that will just help our investigation. So yeah, I'll take this one. I'll shuffle these 2 back into my deck. I am then, for 1 resource, going to whip this magnifying glass out of my back pocket. It's fast, so does not take an action. We get +1 to our investigation while investigating, because we're going to use the magnifying glass to look at that spider coming out of that dead body. Ugh. And then we still have one action left, if I remember this right. So we're going to go ahead and do an investigation, because there's only a 2 shroud here, and our investigation now is 4, plus 1 from Milan, so that's 5, plus 1 from the magnifying glass is 6, and if we can do this successfully, we can gain a resource. 6 to a 2, bring it. We should be able to do this, and we get a -1, we got it. Now I'm realizing that this isn't helping us. I mean, clues are great, but what we're actually trying to do is find, what's his name? Randolph. So, yeah, I've got to remember that. I will exhaust Milan and gain 1 resource for that investigation, so now we have 2. That'll end the investigation phase. We'll move to the enemy phase. There's no enemies out, so let's go to the upkeep phase. We'll discard Patrice's 2 cards in hand. Both of these can be played from her discard pile, though, which is great. We will generate 1 resource, so she will have 3. Let's go ahead and draw 4 more cards because she still has that Watcher in her hand. And, ooh, another Sixth Sense, Reckless Assault, some attacking. Ooh, that's about an encounter card, Deny Existence. Yeah, not a terribly great hand, but not terrible. Joe will go from having 2 resources. He'll gain a 3rd, so he'll have 3. And what is he going to draw? He'll draw 1 card, and he gets Take the Initiative. We'll move to the Mythos phase, drop our 2nd Doom. Let's go ahead and draw our encounter cards. First one will be for Patrice. She gets, if I can flip the card, oh, the Glimpse of the Underworld. We know what this is. Put this into play in our threat area. When you would take damage or horror, take 1 additional of that. We can discard this by taking 1 damage and 1 horror. Probably just going to have to do that. And then for Joe, Joe will get, oh, Dissonant Voices. I hate this card from the core set. You cannot play assets or events. Oh, that's actually not the one I was thinking of. I was thinking of the one where it takes an additional action to do anything. So we just can't play any assets or events this round. That's fine. At the end of the round, we'll go ahead and discard this. I almost forgot one thing. This Suspicious Orderly would have readied during the enemy phase and automatically engaged Patrice because she's at that location. So this Orderly is going to be engaged with Patrice, but that's okay. The Doctor will go ahead and talk to that Suspicious Orderly again, and he'll be exhausted shortly. The other thing I did not do was my infestation test. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Let's see what we get. We get, oh, wow. Okay. Nothing happens. That's our 3rd out of our 4th one of those, though. So likely we're going to draw one of these next time. Let's start with Joe this round, and the first thing we need to do is reveal his Hunch card from his Hunch deck. And he has Evidence. Fast. Play after you defeat an enemy. Discover 1 clue at your location. Cool. We don't have an enemy, so that's probably not going to happen. What we're going to do is spend our first action trying to find that last clue. I like that, 2 victory points. So we're at a total of 4, 5, 6 total investigation to the 2 shroud. Should be pretty easy. Let's see. Oh, what is that? That weird looking symbol means X. X is the number of infested locations. That's only 2 for now. So 2 minus our 6, or 6 minus 2 is 4. That's still greater than the 2 there. Perfect. We just got ourselves 2 more victory points. We'll also, thanks to Milan, gain another resource, but we'll have to exhaust him. But that means we have 4 beautiful resources. Action 2, I think I'm going to move to the stairwell. Okay, and then for action 3, I want to get rid of the clues here because I remember, if I remember right, if we do an infestation test, usually it's at a location with the most clues. If I can get rid of these clues, then hopefully these stairs won't get infested. If that's the case, if this does get infested, what happens is we have to do another infestation test. I don't want to do that. Plus, it's worth 1 victory point, so why not? So we're at a total of 6. I can't play assets or events, but there's nothing saying that I can't play Deduction, which is a skill card. And it says if this skill test is successful, we can obtain another additional clue. So we can gain 2 clues here. We are 7 to the 3. 7 to the 3. I am feeling good. Feeling good, feeling good, feeling good. We got that. That's still a -2. That means we've collected both of these clues. So we have 4 clues. For what? Nothing. But for victory points, we just gained 3 victory points for that. So I'm okay with that. We will then end our turn. First thing we're going to do for Patrice, we're going to have her take 1 damage, and we're going to have her take her 5th horror. That's kind of scary. 2 more and she's toast. But that means I can discard this Glimpse of the Underworld. Done. Great. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Dr. Shivani. I'll exhaust her, and we're going to say, hey, Suspicious Orderly, bug off. We're a doctor. Oh, yes, of course, ma'am. Then what we're going to do for our first action, because none of that was an action, Our first action is we're going to try and attack the Watcher from another dimension. We are going to use, for that, all of this to add to our attack. So that's our normal combat is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 to the 5. That better be enough, right? 8 to a 5. Come on, that should work. We'll draw one of these tokens, and we have a -1. That's 7 to a 5. We can discard him. We just defeated him. Super nice. If we had failed, by the way, that would have come out and been an enemy, and then he would have had 2 health. Yeah, that would have been brutal. And he's a hunter. Ugh. Okay. So that was our first action. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to use our violin here, and we're going to discard this Sixth Sense, because it's not going to do much for us, to generate another resource. So we've got 4 resources. We're flowing in them. We've got 2 more actions. We'll go ahead and move into the stairs, which makes us immediately move into one of the 2 basement spaces, and then we're going to have to test our agility, which we're going to fail. I just used all my cards in my hand. I didn't have anything for agility anyways, so it might as well. We're going to do this one. This is the morgue. So this states you can take an action and test your willpower. If you succeed, discover 1 clue at this location, but if you fail, take a horror. That's very risky for her. She only has 2 horror or 2 sanity left. After the last remaining clue is discovered from the morgue, make an infestation test. Ugh, but that's 2 clues, and that's 2 more victory points. I have no idea if the clues are helpful. Right now, our willpower is 5. 5 to a 3, there is a good chance we could do that, but if we fail, we are 1 sanity away. I mean, I guess we could lose our doctor, but I really don't want to lose our doctor. So I think for our final actions, we're just going to move back to the stairs. We're not going to mess with the morgue. Of course, the basement is where we need to go. The other basement, the one that I haven't gone to yet. We've finished the investigation phase, so that means since we did not use the evidence card on the top of the hunch deck for Joe, I'll shuffle that up. During the enemy phase, the only thing that's going to change is that our suspicious orderly will be readied. He will not move because he was exhausted at the beginning of it, but now he will start moving because he is a hunter. And the next place he's going to go is the blasted stairs where we're both chilling. But that's all we have to do for the enemy phase. Then we'll move to the upkeep phase. So what we will do is Patrice will gain her 5th resource. Joe will gain his 5th resource. Man, resources are not a problem right now, which is great. Joe will draw 1 card, and he gets Steadfast. That's pretty nice. And Patrice is now finally going to draw 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, thanks to getting rid of that enemy in her hand. And, oh yeah, look at this. She could have Say Your Prayers and Perception. Ooh, nice. We'll then move to that next Mythos phase. That is now 3 Doom already on the agenda. At 6, it's going to move. Because we ended the round, we can get rid of the dissonant voices. So Joe no longer has that sound in the back of his head. And we'll start drawing. Patrice is first. Let's see, she gets Outbreak. Perform an infestation test. If you are at an infested location, treat each of those tokens as, oh man, well, good thing we're not at a location like that. We're not at an infested location right now. We're going to have to do an infestation test. Yeah, I was thinking that was going to happen. We need to choose a location connected to an infested location. That location becomes infested. And then now, because there are 2 of these out, we're going to go ahead and put those 2 plus the 3 of the rock symbols back into the infestation bag. So not terrible, but not great. I really don't want to infest the stairs, so let's go ahead and infest the waiting room. You know that location where we just couldn't find any clues? It took us forever. That's where it's going to be infested. We'll then draw Joe's card. Joe gets the Sickening Webs again. Attached to your location, we found them all over the stairs. Each spider, we don't have any spiders there, but we need to test either our might or our agility. If you succeed, we can discard this, but that takes an action. At the end of the Mythos phase, we're going to have to draw another infestation token, and we have the skull, the dreaded skull. So this one says, set this token aside, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a spider enemy, and spawn it at the infestation location nearest the investigators. So that's going to be that experimental therapies ward. We're going to grab the swarm of spiders. They only have 1 health, 1 combat, so they're not hard to defeat, but they're swarming too. So I'm going to grab the top 2 cards of Patrice's deck since she's the lead investigator. There's actually 3 of them here, just jittering across the floor. Ugh, they're going to be in that experimental labs. Let's go ahead and start the investigation phase. And first thing we're going to do with Joe is we're going to reveal the top card of his deck. Oh, nice. This can help us gain another clue that I still don't know what clues are helping us with. But hey, they get us victory points. Joe sees all those webs, and you know what he says? I'm going to take the initiative here. I'm going to add 3 icons to my combat. So my combat is 4, plus 3 is 7. So 7 to 3, we're going to try and clear these out so we can get ourselves on our way, trying to get to that last basement location. So let's see what we get. That is now a -3. Whew. But that still means we are greater than the 3 because we added 3 here and our base combat is 4. Yes, we got 3 here. Remember, this is equal to the amount of infested locations. There's now 3 infested locations. Oh, that token's going to get worse and worse. That was action 1. Let's go ahead and move to this basement door for action 2. And this one's called the private room. This has got to be it. The patient you've been looking for sits on a bed in the middle of the dark room. You ask him about his condition, but he merely replies, "Why should I help you? You've never believed me anyway." We can parlay, test our willpower, which is only 2 for Joe. If you succeed, test your book. Okay, if you succeed, investigators at this location may spend... Oh, here we go. We could totally spend 2 clues as a group to give control of the set-aside Randolph Carter asset to an investigator at this location. Oh, so we have 1 more action. Do we have enough... Yeah, we might be able to do this because we have Steadfast. So our first try at this, we'll use Steadfast. Now Steadfast, normally it says, while you have 5 or more remaining health and sanity, which we definitely have more than that, we have 7 health just right there, we gain an additional willpower token. So that's 2 more. So that would give us a total of 4. But we still actually have 10 total sanity and health. And so because of that, we actually gain 2 more. So I think what this is saying is we have a total of 3 additional willpower here. 1, 2, 3, plus our 2, that's 5. 5 to the 2. Okay, come on. 5 to the 2. 5 to the 2, 5 to the 2, 5 to the 2. Come on. That's a 0. That works. Okay, so that was the willpower test. I'll have to discard this. Now we have to do the intellect test. Now this one, we're pretty good. We've got 4 plus 1. We're at 5. The magnifying glass does not work for this because we're not investigating. Because just imagine, I'd put the magnifying glass in Randolph's face. I don't think that's going to convince him to tell his story. So we're at a 5 to a 2, though. I like that. We'll draw this one. That's a -2. That's 3 to a 2. That'll work. We'll spend 2 clues. Easy. Let's go ahead and get Randolph Carter. This does mean, unfortunately, that Milan will have to go to the discard pile. We can't have 2 allies for some weird reason. It makes sense for the game, but thematically, I have no idea why Milan decided to leave us, but that's okay. He just left us. So Randolph Carter will give us +1 willpower, which is great because that will make us a 3, and we still get the +1 for our investigation, just like Milan. We just won't gain the resources. But after that funky person symbol is revealed during a skill test at your location, we can exhaust him and draw 2 cards. And he's got 2 health and 3 sanity, which is super nice. The other nice thing is we can move our Act card. We're going to move to Act 3A. After some persuading, you manage to convince the blonde-haired man to listen to your story. Once you explain to him what has happened to your companions, he shakes his head in a solemn understanding. I knew this Virgil fellow would cause trouble. If only I had convinced him not to write that story. You ask him what he means, and he lets out a long sigh before elaborating. It's all true. All of it. The Dreamlands is real, and I believe that something is causing it to merge with the waking world. That's where all of this is coming from, he explains, motioning to the spiderwebs in the corners of the room. With your help, I may be able to temporarily stop the infestation from spreading. Then we can investigate this matter further. He rises from his cot and shakes his head. My name is Randolph, by the way, Randolph Carter. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. With the aid of Randolph Carter, you must attempt to close the rifts that have opened between Dreamlands and the waking world. Each infested location gains an action. Test your willpower X to attempt to seal the rift. X is the location's shroud. Investigators at this location may spend 2 clues as a group to automatically succeed. If you succeed, replace the damage token on this location with a horror token. For the remainder of the game, this location cannot be infested. If there are no infested locations in play, advance. Oh. Okay, well at least we only have 3, but one of them is covered in enemies. We got spiders, we got an orderly. That's going to be annoying. Well, I don't think this leaves us much choice. I think Patrice is going to have to do for action 1, move into here. Now, both of these enemies would immediately engage her because she's in this location. The nice thing is that orderly will just go ahead and exhaust. Thanks to having the doctor, we keep convincing him, doctor, doctor, don't bother me. And then these swarming spiders, though, will engage us, so we're going to have to fight them. What I'm going to play is I'm going to spend one resource to play a card from my discard pile, and that's going to be my improvised weapon. You may play improvised weapon from your discard pile if you do shuffle it into your deck after resolving its effects. Fight. The attacked enemy gets -1 fight for this attack, so literally it's a 0. So as long as I don't draw the auto fail, I have to succeed here. What's great is if I played this from my discard pile, I get +1 for the damage. So that means I'd actually deal 2 damage and get rid of both swarms. Then I can spend the third action getting rid of the swarm completely. Hopefully. We'll see. So first thing I need to do is reveal a chaos token. I'm at a 2, but it doesn't even matter what I'm at. They're at a 0. Okay, literally a 0. So I'll draw this, and that's a 0. Great. So we just took out 2. So we took out the 2 swarms. I'll place both of those at the bottom of my deck. And then we'll do a second attack. This time, I'm going to play 2 skill cards. Overpower, so that will put our strength up to a 4. And the defiance, that's going to make it a 5. And I'm going to make that weird looking guy one be worth 0 because of the defiance. So if I draw that, it's a 0 instead of a -3. So we're at a 5 to a 1 to take out the swarm of spiders. We will draw this one. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 to a 1. Toodles. Unfortunately, though, that's all of our actions. So we're going to go ahead and move to the enemy phase. And the only thing that's going to happen is this suspicious orderly is going to engage us again. But thank you to Dr. Shivani. We'll be able to get rid of that. No problem. Then we will move to the upkeep phase. We will have Joe draw 1 card. So he's going to draw the magnifying glass. Oh, that's actually kind of nice. And then Patrice, she'll have to discard all 3 of these. This is another winging it. I love those cards. I love the cards you can play from the discard pile. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just so fun and unique, right? We've got Prophecy, Last Chance, Overpower, and Manual Dexterity. Lots of good stuff here. We'll also gain 1 resource each. So Patrice will have a total of 5, and Joe will actually have 6. We'll move to that Mythos phase, and our Doom will continue to tick. 2 more, and we're going to move to the next agenda card. We'll draw first for Patrice. She will get Night Terrors. Put Night Terror into play in your threat area. After you fail a skill test, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Draw each weakness revealed this way and remove the other cards from the game. Ooh. The Night Terror is... If the Night Terror is in your threat area, you can test to your willpower 4. And then if you succeed after this test ends, discard Night Terror. Oh, even if you fail, you can just test it. Interesting. Oh, but if you fail it, you'd have to do the effect. Oh, interesting. That's kind of a cool card. Okay, so that was for Patrice. This one's for Joe. Oh my gosh, Joe and those webs. Okay, he's webbed up again. We'll end the Mythos phase by drawing from our infestation bag, and we have nothing happens. Sweet. Okay, cool. To start that investigation phase, let's grab our hunch deck for Joe. We'll reveal the shortcut that we put in there. Cool. So we have our shortcut ready for us if we can get out of those sticky webs. I think I'm going to start off with Patrice this round. We're going to go ahead and exhaust our doctor to get rid of that suspicious orderly. Yeah, they obviously know something's going on here. So do we. We're going to do that, though, so that we can deal with this. So in order to deal with that, we have to test our willpower of 4 equal to this shroud value. Our total willpower right now is 4 plus the 1 from St. Hubert's Key. That's 5. I think I'm going to go ahead and play Prophecy here. While there are 3 or more Doom in play, Prophecy gains +1 question mark. I have 4 Doom in play, so that is considered 2 additional wildcard symbols. So that's going to help us go from 5 to 7, 7 to 4. Next, we're going to use our Violin's ability to discard this improvised weapon and generate a resource. So that's going to give us a total of 6 resources. And then we're going to hope for the best. It is 7 to a 4. If we fail this, it's not going to be good because we're going to have to lose cards from our deck. Okay, 7 to 4. 7 to 4. Come on, 7 to 4. And that's a skull. A skull is -1, so that would be at 6 to a 4. -3 if you were engaged with a staff member. We're not engaged with the staff member because we essentially evaded him. So that's going to get rid of this one infestation. And we can place this here. And what's great about that is I think that's going to stop from having the infestation spread to the basement, because you always have to place it adjacent to infestation tokens. They can't go this way. They're going to have to go the other way towards the records office, I think. That was action 1. Let's go ahead and move to the emergency room. I believe I can. Yep. We've got red squares. So we'll move into here for action 2. And then this says, while you're here, skill test get +1 difficulty for each card committed to it. So we're not going to commit anything to this. This is going to be a 5 to a 2. We should be able to do that. Come on, get rid of our second infestation token. Would that not be amazing? We'd only have 1 left. That's a -1. 4 to a 2. Perfect. 2 done, 1 to go. We're in a sticky web situation for Joe. We don't have anything that we can really do to get ourselves out of here other than doing agility or our combat. Our combat's a 4. I have nothing in my hand that's going to help me. Look here. Nothing that's going to help me with that. So we're just going to draw. Action 1, we're going to draw from the bag. We need a 0 or a -1. That's pretty much the only thing that's going to work. And what do we draw? We draw a skull, which is a -1 because we're not engaged with any staff. So that means we succeeded. So we just cleared out this sickening webs. Take that, you webs. Then I think let's go ahead and play from our hunch deck, our shortcut again. Cost 0, it's fast, doesn't even take an action. That's going to push us right to the stairs. This actually almost could work for us. We almost could get rid of this one this round, because we've moved here for free. We've spent 1 action. Action 2, we'll have to move to the experimental wards. Action 3, this experimental wards is connected to the waiting room. That's action 3. And we even have 2 clues, so we don't even have to do the test. We can take care of that no problem. However, we have no more actions, and we need to do an action to do that. So that's as far as we're going to go. But I feel super good about that. What this means is we'll move to the enemy phase. This suspicious orderly will become ready. He will not move until the next round, because during the movement phase of the enemy portion of the enemy phase turn, he was exhausted. He will move next round, though, and he can come to the emergency room or to the waiting room. We'll then move to that upkeep phase. Patrice will discard all 3 of her cards here. Joe will draw 1 card, and he gets take the initiative. And Patrice will draw a full mitt of 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's see what she's got. Oh yeah, look at this. Manual Dexterity, Unexpected Courage. We even have a Ward of Protection. We've got another St. Mary's or St. Hubert's Key. Oh, 2 Unexpected Courages. Great. We'll each gain 1 resource, which will give us a total of 7 resources each. We have tons of resources. We'll move to that Mythos phase. This will give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 more and we're going to move. So I'm really hoping we can get rid of that infestation token, which is really just going to depend upon this encounter card draws. That's actually not entirely true, because we also have to deal with the infestation test. So our first card is for Patrice. She gets the locked door. She can't investigate or move out of that location. Ugh, kind of annoying. I don't know if I'm going to have to move. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. And then for Joe, he's got the Whispering of Hypnos. Let's go ahead and reduce our agility again by 2, because both of our agilities stink. So yeah, I'll put that out, and we all have agility -2 this round. Now it's infestation time. We do have 2 of those cultists in this bag, which we maybe could draw, and we do. Gosh darn it. Oh, I think it's time to have Dr. Shivani show her quality. We're going to use her. When an investigator reveals one of these symbols on an infestation token, remove Dr. Shivani from the game, cancel that token, and return it to the infestation bag. Yeah, she has been amazing with those orderlies, but I think it's going to be worth it to cancel that, because now all we have to do is get rid of that 1 infestation token. But now she's gone. We'll then move to the investigation phase. We'll draw our top hunch card, just see what it is. We've got our evidence again. Joe's currently sitting in the waiting room. He's going to use the clues that he has found to go ahead and purify this location of its infestation token. And now we have no more infested locations in play. This means we get to advance the act deck. And yes, this is the last one. This is great. With the final rift sealed, the infestation ceases and the hospital returns to normal. Good work, Randolph says. Still, I believe this matter warrants further investigation. We do not know what caused this to happen. You remind him that there's also the matter of your companions who still refuse to wake. Yes, of course, that too. Come, let us go somewhere private where we can discuss what our next steps should be. Sadly, I do not believe there is anything more we can do to aid your friends here. You don't know if Randolph means here as in the hospital or here as in the waking world, but either way, it does not bode well for your companions. Check the campaign log. If Dr. Mahaswani joined the investigation and she was in play when the scenario ended, bummer. No, I just used her. If she joined the investigation and she's not in play when the scenario ended, go to R2. Before you depart from the hospital, you search high and low for Dr. Mahaswani, but she is nowhere to be found. Yeah, because we fed her to the spiders. You head back to the emergency ward to check on your companions and find that they are still unconscious. In fact, their condition seems to have grown worse. Their foreheads are covered in sweat, and blood drips from their closed eyes. Ooh, one of them is whispering something in their sleep, a repeated phrase in a language you cannot understand. As you leave, you swear to your sleeping friends that you will get to the bottom of this and save them. In your campaign log, record that Dr. Mahaswaran is missing. Perhaps you could have saved her. The lead investigator suffers 1 mental trauma. Oh boy, she's going to have 3 mental trauma. Your companion's condition have worsened. If you're playing the Web of Dreams and the Dream Quest as an interconnected 8-part campaign, recording campaign A's log that the dreamers grow weaker. Oh, that's great. In your campaign log, record Randolph escaped the hospital with the investigators. Any one investigator may choose to add Randolph Carter to their deck. This card does not count towards their investigator size. I'm thinking that Joe is actually not a bad choice. I'm gonna have him be with Joe. Then let's go ahead to Resolution 5. You depart from the hospital with the blonde-haired man in tow, and he introduces himself more fully. The man, whose name is Randolph Carter, tells you that he is a dreamer, like Virgil Gray and your friends, one with the ability to traverse the divide between waking world and a parallel dimension that was created by, is sustained by, and dwells within the dreams of all living organisms on Earth, a realm he calls the Dreamlands. It is a place of both dreams and nightmares, he explains, and I'm afraid your friends are trapped there as we speak. You ask if there's anything you can do to aid them. Randolph ponders this for a moment, then replies, normally, dreamers can return to the real world simply by willing themselves awake, but for some reason, your friends are unable to do so. If you truly wish to help them, you too must enter the Dreamlands and find them, but forcing your way into the Dreamlands is not easy. Oh, interesting. Such paths are usually accessible only to experienced dreamers, and only in sleep. Still, there are some places where the Dreamlands touch the waking world, and in those places, with the right tools, you may enter the Dreamlands in your physical body. I know of such a place, not far from here. However, before Randolph is able to finish the sentence, he is interrupted by a mysterious voice. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display. Remove the infestation bag and all tokens from the game. If you're playing the web, we're playing just now. We're not playing the 4-part. If you're playing the 8-part and you've already played, so down here, and you've already played scenario 1A, then proceed to the Interlude Black Cat. If you're playing both of the quests as an interconnected campaign, then we proceed to Black Cat 1. Following Scenario 1A, the dreamers travel beyond the Enchanted Woods. As you travel out of the Enchanted Woods, you pass through rolling green meadows under a bright blue, cloudless sky. You speak with the blonde-haired man, who introduces himself as Randolph Carter. For several hours along your journey south, you pass through a town Randolph calls a Nur and over a stone bridge spanning a wide river. Since the man seems friendly and quite knowledgeable about both your world and this one, you explain to him your situation, that you had followed the writings of a man named Virgil Gray to reach this strange land in order to see for yourself the truth of his story. There is a place in Ulthar where you may yet meet this man for yourself, Randolph responds. When we reach Ulthar, I will show you. The town of Ulthar is not quite what you had imagined. The border of the town is marked by a cobblestone road separating its quaint cottages from the rolling green meadows beyond. Inside the town, narrow cobbled streets are filled almost to capacity with cats of all kinds and colors, which part as you approach. Old peaked roofs and overhanging upper stories arc over the hilly streets. The entire village seems a haphazard cluster of homes and old-fashioned businesses. As you reach the town square near the center of the village, Randolph stops and addresses you with a youthful smile. Welcome to Ulthar, he proclaims. As I mentioned before, you are quite safe here. There is but one paramount law to keep in mind as you traverse this land. In the town of Ulthar, no one may kill a cat. Given how utterly packed the streets are with cats, you wonder aloud if there is indeed a town run by cats. Not quite, Randolph replies, pondering your words, though I suppose one might call it the center of cat society here in the Dreamland. The reason for that law's existence is a story for another time. First, come. I have a feeling we'll find this Virgil fellow you speak of at Inar's. Randolph leads you through the town square, which is surrounded by buildings adorned with cat motifs in the form of statues, signs, and even stained glass windows. You eventually arrive at one such building bearing a sign that reads, Inar's Place. Inside is a medieval-style tavern filled with long wooden tables. You spot several patrons and 3 times as many cats. One such patron at the wooden counter feeds one of the cats small strips of dried meat. He is a handsome man in his early 30s with short dark hair, a strong jaw, and sharp cheekbones. You recognize him instantly as the writer Virgil Gray. In the back of your mind, you wonder if this chance meeting is merely an act of fortune or something preordained for good or for ill. Regardless, you approach the man and introduce yourself, along with Randolph. Virgil shakes your hand, and Randolph's with a joyful smile. Well met, fellow dreamers, the writer says, a hint of boyish excitement in his voice. It is wonderful to meet more fellow believers. I'd become so sick and tired of reading about my supposed illness in the papers. You nod your head in agreement and inform Virgil that you intend to find some proof of this discovery to bring back to the waking world. Don't you think I tried that? He replies, stymied. Sadly, it is impossible for one who is asleep to bring anything from this realm into the real world. This is all imagination, you see. Ideas, concepts, fantasies. You cannot hold a thought in your hands, can you? Randolph interjects. There is a place within the Dreamlands that may hold the proof you seek. I have seen it in my dreams. I visit there 3 times, each time just a fleeting moment before I was snatched away by the rising sun. But try as I might, I cannot find that way again. I have spent many nights searching. Oh? Virgil asks, intrigued. And what is this place? It's a marvelous city, he describes, his eyes aglow with wonder. Golden and lovely like nothing I've ever seen before or since. A city beyond the peaks of the unknown mountains of Kadath, where no one has ever set foot before. There, veiled within the clouds and crowned by stars, lies the onyx castle of the Great Ones. Virgil idly pets the cat on the countertop next to him as he is absorbed by Randolph's tale. It is a splendor creature with lustrous black fur, dark as the void of space itself. Then we must find this place. Even if it does not have the proof we seek, it sounds like an adventure of a lifetime, enough to fill 100 pages or more. You tell Virgil and Randolph that before you can commit to such an adventure, you must return to the waking world and tell your companions about your experiences. Just then, another voice, cryptic and quiet, chimes.
Oh, you can't wake up. The eye is upon you now.
You and the others spin your head around, searching for the source of the voice. The barkeeper? Another patron? Then Virgil's black cat stretches and sits up, its piercing yellow eyes reflecting the light of the sun through the window outside.
I have waited a long time for you to seek Kadath,
it says. You can talk? Virgil says, nearly toppling over his stool as he jumps in surprise.
I'm a cat, you dolt. Of course I can talk.
The black cat replies, licking its paws out of boredom.
You've met 1,000 cats from Othar, and now you are surprised?
But I thought... Virgil wipes his brow with his palm.
Never mind him, the
black cat says, addressing you directly.
I assure you, you cannot cross back into the waking world until you find Kadath. It is your only way out. In the meantime, I will return and tell your companions about the quest ahead of you.
It hops off the countertop and walks confidently towards the exit.
Though I imagine their task will be even more arduous. What should I tell your friends in the waking world?
The lead investigator must now choose. We can either tell your companions of your quest, your plight, and your peril. The black cat will return to you once the message is delivered. This may put an undue burden on your companions. In the campaign log, we'd have to place something there. Or tell your companions about your new friends and about the Dreamlands. Tell your companions about that they are in danger and that you are safe. The black cat will stay with them once this message is delivered. This might make your quest a little more difficult. Or you don't trust this creature one bit. You threaten the black cat, warning it not to approach your friends. I don't think that's the right one. Something about this just doesn't seem right. So it's just a question of one of these 3. I feel like Tell your companions that they're in danger and that you are safe. The Black Cat will stay with them once this message is delivered. They have to come into the Dreamlands. Let's go ahead and do this one. So we have to record that, what does it say? Record the Black Cat warned the others. Following scenario 1B, the investigators are confronted outside of St. Mary's Hospital.
You must be their friends.
The enigmatic voice says from above. To your surprise, the quiet voice belongs not to a person, but to a black cat that lounges lazily across the tree branch hanging over the path outside the hospital.
Oh, pick your jaws up off the ground and listen.
The cat rises and leaps onto the top of a nearby fence, walking along it with the kind of grace only cats possess. It is one of the cats of Earth's dreamlands, Randolph proclaims, his voice tinged with merriment, like he was meeting an old friend for the first time in ages. How long has it been since I have spoken with one of your kind? The cat's piercing yellow eyes glare at Randolph for a moment before it returns its gaze to you.
Sure. In any event, I bear a message from your dreaming friends.
Check the campaign log and we'll decide which one we did.
Your friends told me to tell you that they're fine. In fact, they told me to warn you that you're the ones in real danger. I'd believe them if I were you. There's a grand conspiracy at work here, and you're the only ones who can stop it. The best thing you can do is forge onward, for both your sakes. Don't worry, I'll stick around for a while. Someone's got to keep you alive.
In the campaign log for the Web of Dreams, we have to record the Black Cat is at your side, add one of these rock tokens to your chaos bag for both campaigns. Once the relevant entry has been read, if you're playing both of the campaigns together, proceed either to Scenario 2A or to Scenario 2B. So this is where I'm going to ask you guys, where do you guys want me to go first next? Should I go for the Search of Kadath, or should I go for the 1,000 Shapes of Horror? Our total victory points that we earned this round was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So only 6 for these guys. Let me know what you think I should do for upgrades. I definitely think charisma for each of them again. I know that's half of the upgrades that we have here, but being able to have 2 allies is just so gosh darn helpful. But other than that, I'm not sure. I mean, I can do a couple upgrades for spells, for Patrice. Yeah, just curious. I like that scenario a lot. I really like the story. This story is quite interesting. Randolph is in both locations, and I don't feel like I trust him. I trust the cats way more than I trust him. I'm really excited to see where we're going to go with this. Yeah, let me know which scenario I should go to first. Sounds like I can go to 2A or 2B. It probably doesn't really matter, but yeah, let me know. Thanks for joining me on this quest. I will see you next week. Catch you at the next stop.